Good morning, class, and whether it is evening or afternoon. This For this period, we'll be looking at the topic Research Extension Farmer Input Linkage System, which we have the acronym as REFILS. Research Extension Farmer Input Linkage System. We can see from the title of the topic that the research extension, farmers, and the input, they constitute a system, and we need effort at linking them together. They all stand on their own individually, but we are looking at a way whereby we can bring all of them together. They can work in a synergy to bring about the right product in terms of increased in agricultural production of farmers and all their various clienteles. So today we are considering the research extension farmer input linkage system. Okay. Now the stakeholders, as you have seen, are the farmers, the extension, the researchers, the input suppliers, and the consumers. These are stakeholders in these reviews. Actually, as you have said, there is a problem of linkages between research, extension, and the end users, which are the farmers. That is why Nigeria decided to establish this reviews to bring about linkages between these key stakeholders. And then, so the research extension farmer input linkage system is the umbrella organ that coordinates the research and extension activities of the agricultural development programs in Nigeria. You should understand that the agricultural development programs is the extension arm, or the extension is the organization that is giving the extension mandate in Nigeria. In the ADP, that is where we have the extension agents that service the farmers in the various rural areas of Nigeria. So they are saddled with extension activities. So this REFILS is an organ that coordinates these activities of researchers and the extension activities. And it represents an institutional dynamics of linkage between the agricultural research institutes and the agricultural development programs, the farmers, and the input agencies. Definitely, we know that our end users of whatever we are producing or the clientele that we are dealing with are the farmers. And then we also have the input agencies. These are agencies that supply inputs like seeds, agrochemicals, or machineries to farmers to help the agricultural system and to bring about increase in production. Now, the extension, the REFILS organizations involved include the National Agricultural Institutes in the 6 geopolitical zones of Nigeria. They form the major anchorage of these REFILS. And then you also have the universities and other tertiary institutions that have faculties of agriculture. They also collaborate with all the state agricultural development programs in the various geopolitical zones. So we have the Southwest geopolitical zone, which we'll be talking about, or which we will be referring to under REFILS, because that is the zonal coordinating arm for REFILS, and the zonal headquarters is at the IAR&T, More Plantation at Ibadan. That's the zonal headquarters for REFILS in Southwest Nigeria. And under this zone, we have all the states of the Southwest Nigeria. We have Lagos, Ogun, Ondo, Ekiti, Osun, and Oyo State. Then other organizations involved are the input supply agencies, and they are mostly non-governmental organizations. Now, what is the approach adopted for research and extension linkage? And number one is the diagnostic survey to review constraints. Usually there are surveys to look at what has been happening and what have been the constraints to adoption of various kind of innovations that have been disseminated to the farmers. So the extension assists in doing this survey to bring about all the various issues that arises from this technological dissemination, and then they come up with it to the refuse for to present their findings, and then they also adopt the prioritizing and evaluating of technologies for multinational, multi-locational trials and demonstration. During refills, they tend to find out or to prioritize technologies that will be good for multi-locational trials. Why multi-locational trials? Is because what is good for Ondo State may not actually work for your state. What the farmers are set in Osun State may not be what the farmers in Lagos will be predisposed to. That is why we need multi-locational trials and demonstration, so that they can harvest from these various fields different views, perception, and behavior of the farmers, and then they will know exactly what technologies will be better suited for those kind of places. Though we call it the Southwest, we are actually having relatively the same environment or the same weather conditions, but we know that there are specific conditions in various places. Okay, sorry for that. Let's get back to what we are doing. Now, they also adopt a sequence of action for farming system research or on-station research. Farming system research or on-station research, they are researches that are managed, especially the farming system, they are ones that are managed by the researchers. While the on-farm research is usually research that is managed by extension. So we have the on-farm adaptive research, which is extension managed and is executed by the farmers. In essence, the farmers are the ones working on the farm with the new technologies or the practices, but the extension are the ones who are supervising it. But the farming system research or on-station research are research managed by the researchers. Then we also have the small plot adoption technique, but not trial. It is a technique, small plot adoption technique. This is a kind of research or demonstration technique whereby farmers are presented with technologies on small plots so as to be able to compare it to what they are doing. We'll still be talking about that. So that's for experts. Okay. Now let's continue. Areas of operation where refuse no concentration at the area of seedlings or seeds, crops, agroforestry, livestock, soils, processing, mechanization, women in agriculture, and training. These are areas of operation that refuse concentrates on. Now, what are the linkage strategies or the activities by ADPs in this refuse? And we have told you that ADPs is the extension arm or in the linkage linkage system, and is the organization that has been that the work of extension has been committed into their hands. They handle extension activities. That is the ADPs. So what do they do in refuse? Number one, they hold dissemination meetings like monthly technological review meetings, MTRM. They hold fortnightly training meetings, and they also create or have small plot adoption techniques. Now, you also technical committees, and this is for reporting activities. Then you also have diagnostic surveys, which involves survey on limitations or coordination of multidisciplinary survey recruitment of resource persons, and provision of guide to teams. So the ADPs, they are the ones that are involved in all these various activities. Skills, the specialists, and the field extension agents in collaboration with the relevant national agricultural research institutes. So other activities that they are involved in include thematic supervision of workshops in southern and northern ADPs, national annual thematic workshops on agroforestry, land use, crops, livestock, fisheries, women in agri, and extension service delivery. They also have annual in-house research institute reviews and the MTRM resource persons workshops. All these things are the activities that ADPs are involved in under the REFILS system. Then they also have publications, and these include something like agroscope, technical bulletins, occasional papers. They also have field manuals for conducting of offer trials and FNTs, and they also have what they do on the electronic media. They have radio programs and TV programs. Now, what are monthly technology review meetings, MTRM? This is one of the activities of the ADPs, and they do this every month with research institutes. So every month, researchers and extension subject matter specialists or extension technical staff, which are the SMS, subject matter specialists, they come together and interact. They update scientists about farmers' input demand situations and constraints to adoption of various technologies, and the research institutes also upgrade the technical staff of the ADPs. And no input and marketing agencies also provided with information on the supply situation for responding to farmers' reactions to any intervention by extension staff during the last 2 fortnights. For example, we still have what you call the FNTs, and so the input and the marketing agencies also come with information on what they have to give to farmers to respond to various problems on their farms, and so or what the extension agents brought back from the field. They also come up with their own recommendations. And during the MTRMs, the research trained subject matter specialists, particularly in the production recommendations that extension agents will be teaching farmers over a 4-week period that usually starts some 2 or 3 weeks after the workshop. What we mean by this is that at the MTRMs, the subject matter specialists who are specialists in particular fields of agriculture, they could be a crop subject matter specialist, it could be fishery subject matter specialist, an animal subject matter specialist, or an agronomy subject matter specialist. All these people are trained in particular production recommendations, and these are what they are going to teach all the extension agents during the FNTs that we are going to talk about next. They are going to be taught about all these recommendations, and then they will go and teach the extension agents, who will also go and teach the farmers these production recommendations. So that is what is done at the monthly technology review meetings. Now, what are the kind of technologies that are proposed at those monthly technology review meetings? Number one, there are technologies that reduce cost or risk, or that increase production. There are also technologies that have a degree of profitability at acceptable levels and risk. It must not be one that will not bring profit to the farmers. Then it must be one that the farmers have available skills needed for the adoption, or else they will need to be trained. Then they will also need levels of instructions and resources required to adopt those kind of technologies. They will also need to find out whether they are compatible with farmers' practices and other issues that has to do with maybe the culture and even the socioeconomic capacity of the farmers. So they have to do with things that are compatible, technologies that are compatible, that the farmers have the resources required to adopt it, that the level of instruction for those kind of technologies is not beyond them, and then they have the available skills that are needed for adoption. These are the kind of technologies that are reviewed during MTRMs. and which are disseminated to the farmers, to the extension agents. Now, at the FNTs, because there's need for continuous upgrading and updating of professional skills of extension agents and as well as the block extension supervisors. These FNTs are held fortnightly and is usually held for a full day. When we talk to say fortnightly, at 2 weeks interval. Then at each session, the EAs or the BES review farmers' reactions to previous recommendations and then get solutions to them at the FNTs. So in this meeting, the SMS, that's the technical persons or personnel of the ADP and the extension agents will meet together, and there they discuss or report field problems or conditions that need attention, as well as the ones that especially on the recommendations that have been taken to the field, or the ones that also need further research investigations. These are the problems or the reports that the EAs or the extension agents will bring to the FNTs. They also report on farmers' input and marketing agencies, which are also represented. So the issue of input and the various marketing, what they have to give or supply farmers, they are also brought. They also bring their own report to these FNTs, and then the extension agents are taught specific practices that will be taught to farmers during the coming 2 weeks. These are usually practices that the SMS were taught during the MTRMs that are meant for dissemination to farmers. During these FNTs, they also discuss and learn from each other's experiences. Okay, now what are on-farm adaptive research? OFA in short form. After the MTRMs and the FNTs, farming problems that require on-station experiments are referred to the appropriate research institutions where those solutions are available, and they conduct on-farm applied research, which are researcher managed, or on-farm adaptive research, which is a farmer managed but supervised by extension. These kind of researches are conducted so as to fine-tune those problems or those technologies in line with the constraints that have been raised, or the problems that farmers are facing with those kind of technologies. Then the small plot adoption techniques part, as we said, when a technology has been disseminated or been introduced to the farmers, to be given to the introduced to the extension agents, to be given to the farmers, the extension agents will set up small plot adoption techniques where, in unity with contact farmers, they will plant or test those technologies that have been introduced to them. So they will use a farmer's farm or one of the contact farmers' farm where people can easily have access to. And in case of non-soil based activities, it is done at the farmer meeting places. Then these small plot adoption techniques are used to try or test the relative advantage of technologies that have been disseminated over the former or current ones that they are using. So the extension staff will encourage the farmers to come and see for themselves. So the extension staff encourage the farmers to come and see for themselves the way that new technology is doing. So a small plot of about 5 meters by 5 meters or 10 meters by 10 meters, depending on the choice of the farmer and the space available, is set apart for this kind of spot, and it is usually on the same farmer's farm. It's mean that small plot is carved out of it, and in this process, the farmers are able to compare the small plot with equivalent plot of his usual practice. So, looking at what happens on that small plot, they can be able to perceive whether such a product or a technique or new technology will be good for them on their own plot of land. Okay, so that is what we have under the SPARTs, the MCRMs, FNTs, and now Agricultural Research Institute. We have said earlier on that the REFILS is a system linking some major stakeholders: the research, the extension, the input, the farmers together. And we have Agricultural Research Institutes in Nigeria, and we have about 21 of them, and about 14 of them are under the management of the Agricultural Research Council of Nigeria, and 4 are attached to universities. This will be part of the assignment, which I believe you have received, to look at various agricultural research institutes and the ones that are also attached to universities. They also have some institutions like the National Biotech Development Agency, which are also involved in research. We have a list of some of those agricultural research institutes, and then where you also have it, you see some of them that are attached to some particular universities. What was the structural organization of the REFILS? Now, the REFILS usually is an annual meeting. It's a meeting that is done annually, both if it's zonal or even national. It's usually an annual, just once in a year. And for the Southwest, it is done at the IR&T Moore Plantation. And who are those who come for this meeting? The research, representative of research, representative of extension, representative of the input. Most times the farmers may not be there, but actually they are well represented by the extension, because the extension will come with reports, field reports of what is going on among the farmers, what their challenges are, what they want, how they want it, and various constraints that they may have been experiencing or facing with the various technologies that have been disseminated in the past 1 year. These are things that the extension will be coming with to report at the REFILS. And the REFILS, the people coming, we include the Director of Technical Service in each state, in each ADPs in each state. We have the SMS at the headquarters, the SMSs at the zonal ADPs. Then you also have the zonal extension officer, the zonal manager. These are the people that come in, that come in from the various ADPs. Then you have the zonal steering committee. These are the people that plan the meeting for the REFILS. They include the head of the region and National Food Reserve Agency, formerly the Program Coordinating Unit of the Federal Agricultural Coordinating Unit. Then we have representatives of various crop and livestock fishery components of the research institutions and universities that have faculty of agriculture. They are the steering committee. Then you also have the ADP State Director of Technical Service, Extension Services, Planning and Monitoring and Evaluation, Financial Controller, and Program Manager. And the Commissioner of Agriculture is also carried along because they report to the Commissioner of Agriculture. Then these are the steering committee that gather together, that plan the REFILS meeting in each zone. Then, as I said, we have participants. The ADP participants include all the SMSs, also including the Women in Agriculture component of the ADP. Then you also have the Zonal Extension Officers, Director of Technical Services, Director of Extension Services, Zonal Managers, the Head of Commercial Service, Head Manpower Development, Training Officer, Head Planning, Monitoring and Evaluation, Head Finance and Program Manager. All these are the people that come from the ADP and they participate in this meeting, this annual meeting. They bring reports from the various fields. However, due to constraints in funding, many of these people may not be able to attend. There are a lot of things that have to be done to get all these people from their various states. And you find out that in some states, in some meetings, some states are not even represented because of finance. So that is one of the challenges of REFILS. Then we also have the National Food Reserve Agency. These ones also, they include the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development, and their officers include regional adaptive research coordinators and regional coordinators of extension. They are the ones that come from this National Food Reserve Agency. They also have the research institute and universities. These are the people that come, and they come from the 4 core resource persons of agronomy, plant protection, livestock, fisheries, agric extension, processing, and utilization. So other scientists or resource persons may be invited as the need arises. They also have the agro input companies who come around to display their seeds, chemicals, machineries, and other items. And they could be given opportunities also to address the meeting as to when due, or if there's any need for that. So this is all about the research extension farmer input linkage system, which is done annually and which helps researchers and extension with the farmers and the input suppliers be able to link together so that the needs of the farmers can be well focused on, and research will be much more need driven, and it's not just be what researchers just feel like doing. However, we also find out that in some cases researchers tend to bypass extension in reaching to farmers, and in the process, since they don't have the technical know-how in relating with farmers, a lot of things a lot of things do not work well, and farmers may not take up those technologies as they ought to. And then, since they will not be on the field to monitor these things, extension people are the ones who go to the field regularly, at least fortnightly, to see their farmers. So therefore, extension should be allowed to play its role in the REFILS, in the research extension farmer input linkage system. Everyone should, and the research should be ready to receive feedback through extension on how their products or how their technologies are faring on the farm and what needs to be done. That's why we have the MTRMs, where they can still discuss with the extension subject matter specialists, so that the various constraints can be brought up and they can go back to the drawing board and bring about better technologies that will be more compatible and acceptable to the farmer. So that's the whole essence of linkages, bringing about technologies that are well adapted to farmer situations and that are well accepted by the farmers. In terms of that, it's going to bring up better produce, it's going to give them more profit, and it's going to be at a less cost and less risk to them. So that is the whole essence of linkages between the research, extension, farmers input system. So finally, our assignment on Research Institute is due on the 15th of February 2021. So I want to encourage you to do that on time in your various groups, to look at what the various research institutes are given to do, what are their research mandates, where they are situated, when they were instituted or when they were established, how far they have gone, what are the various research products that they have come out with, and which ones have been doing well, and what are the problems of the research institutes. These are the various things I want you to do on this assignment on Research Institute. Thank you very much.